The divorce papers hit the dinner table with a sharp slap. My fork froze halfway to my mouth as I stared at the official documents spread across our dining room table. My wife Sarah sat across from me, her face cold as stone. "Sign them," she said simply, sliding a pen toward me. I blinked hard, trying to process what was happening. "Sarah, what is this? I don't understand. We were fine this morning." She rolled her eyes. "Just sign the papers, Elliot. I'm done pretending." My hands shook as I picked up the documents. We'd been married for 8 years. Sure, I'd noticed some changes lately. She always took her phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. She kept it face down during dinner. Small lies about where she'd been. But I thought couples went through rough patches. "Why now?" I whispered. "Because I'm ready to move on with my life," she said, checking her watch impatiently. "Sign them tonight, or I'll make this much harder for you." The pen felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds in my hand. My whole world was crumbling, and I didn't even know why. "You need to leave tonight," Sarah announced after I signed the last page with trembling fingers. "Tonight?" I stood up so fast my chair toppled backward. "Sarah, this is my home too. I need time to find a place, pack my things." "Your things are already packed." She pointed toward the hallway where my old blue suitcase sat by the front door. "I did it while you were out." My heart pounded against my ribs. This felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. "You can't just throw me out like garbage. I have rights. You have until 9 o'clock or I'm calling the police." She glanced at the kitchen clock. It was already 8:30. I ran my hands through my hair, panic setting in. I'd been fired from my job just 2 weeks ago for something I didn't do. My savings account was nearly empty. And now this. "Sarah, please, at least tell me what I did wrong. Let me fix this." She grabbed my suitcase and shoved it into my arms. "Some things can't be fixed, Elliot. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." The finality in her voice hit me like a punch to the gut. I stood on our front porch in the cold night air, clutching my suitcase like a life preserver. The house I'd called home for 8 years was now locked behind me. Sarah had already turned off the porch light. My phone buzzed with a text from her. "Don't come back. I mean it." I walked down our quiet street in a daze. Every step felt surreal. This morning, I woke up married. Tonight, I was homeless. My mind raced through the past few months, searching for clues I'd missed. The job loss had been devastating enough. My boss accused me of stealing company funds, but I was innocent. No one believed me. Now my wife had abandoned me too. I pulled out my phone to check my bank balance. Maybe I had enough for a cheap hotel until I figured things out. My blood ran cold when I saw the number. $47. That couldn't be right. I checked our joint savings account next. 0 balance. My retirement fund showed the same thing. Everything was gone. "What the hell?" I whispered into the empty street. My legs felt weak. I needed to sit down, think clearly, make a plan. The train station was only 6 blocks away. The train station was nearly empty at this hour. A few late commuters hurried past me toward the last departures of the night. I slumped onto a cold metal bench, my suitcase at my feet. Where was I supposed to go? My brother lived 3 hours away by train, but we hadn't spoken in months. My parents were gone. I had no close friends outside of work, and after the firing, those relationships had crumbled too. I stared at the departure board, watching destinations flip by like a slot machine. Chicago, Boston, Philadelphia. None of them meant anything to me. They were just places to run away to. My phone showed 3 missed calls from unknown numbers. Probably debt collectors. I'd been dodging them since losing my job. The reality hit me all at once. I was 42 years old, homeless, jobless, and apparently broke. My wife had just erased me from her life like I never existed. I buried my face in my hands, fighting back tears. A drunk man stumbled past, mumbling to himself. A janitor mopped the floor nearby, his radio playing soft jazz. The normal world kept spinning while mine had completely stopped. I needed to buy a ticket somewhere, anywhere, before they closed the station for the night. "Elliot?" I looked up through my fingers at the sound of my name. A young woman with dark hair and kind eyes stood in front of me, holding a coffee cup. It took me a moment to recognize her. "Nina?" I couldn't believe it. "What are you doing here?" She sat down beside me on the bench, concern written all over her face. I was catching the late train home from a business meeting. "Elliot, what's wrong? You look terrible." Nina Rodriguez. I'd mentored her 5 years ago when she was a struggling college student working part-time at my old company. She was like the daughter I never had. Smart, ambitious, and incredibly grateful for any guidance I gave her. "I'm fine," I lied, wiping my eyes, "just waiting for a train." She studied my suitcase, then my red-rimmed eyes. "No, you're not fine. What happened?" I tried to stand up, but she gently pulled me back down. "Talk to me, Elliot. You helped me through my worst times. Let me help you." The kindness in her voice broke something inside me. Here was someone who actually cared. Someone who remembered when I was worth something. "Sarah divorced me tonight," I whispered. "She threw me out." Nina's eyes widened in shock. "What? That's impossible. You two were perfect together." "Come on." Nina took my arm and led me toward the station cafe. "You're going to tell me everything." We found a quiet corner table away from the few remaining travelers. Nina bought us both coffee and sat across from me with her full attention. The warmth of the cup felt good in my shaking hands. "Start from the beginning," she said softly. The whole story poured out of me. The surprise divorce papers. Sarah's coldness. Being forced to leave that same night. The missing money from our accounts. My recent job loss. Everything. Nina listened without interrupting, her expression growing more concerned with each detail. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair, shaking her head. "Elliot, this is insane. She can't just steal your money and throw you out. That's not how divorce works." "I don't know what's legal anymore," I said, staring into my coffee. "I just signed whatever she put in front of me." I was in shock. "Did you even read the papers?" I shook my head. She rushed me, said I had to sign immediately or she'd make it worse. Nina reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "This isn't over, Elliot. There has to be more to this story. People don't just change overnight." "Listen," Nina said, leaning forward with sudden intensity. "I have something to tell you. I've been looking for someone I can trust to help me with my company." I laughed bitterly. "Nina, I appreciate the thought, but I just got fired. I'm not exactly a hot commodity right now." "You don't understand," she smiled for the first time since finding me. "Remember how you helped me with my business plan in college? That crazy idea about eco-friendly packaging?" I nodded. She'd been so passionate about it, working on prototypes in her tiny apartment. "Well, that crazy idea became PackSmart Solutions. We're now worth over $200 million. My coffee cup nearly slipped from my hands. "What?" "I've been looking for a senior consultant, someone with your experience in operations and logistics. The salary is $200,000 a year plus equity." I stared at her, unable to process what she was saying. This couldn't be real. "Nina, you don't have to." "I'm not offering this out of pity," she interrupted. "I'm offering because you believed in me when no one else did. You taught me everything I know about business. Now I need that expertise." She pulled out her phone and showed me photos of a massive office building. "This is our headquarters. We have over 3,000 employees." Nina insisted on getting me settled that same night. She found a nice extended stay hotel downtown and paid for 3 months up front. As she handed me the key card, I felt like I was in a dream. "Get some rest," she said. "We'll start fresh Monday morning. Take the weekend to process everything." But I couldn't rest. My mind kept racing. On Sunday, I decided to check my email for the first time since the divorce papers. What I found made my blood boil. There were bank statements going back 6 months that I'd never seen before. Sarah had been systematically transferring money from our joint accounts into a new account under her name only. She'd also liquidated my retirement fund 3 weeks ago. The transfer started right after I got fired. She'd been planning this. I kept digging through old emails and found something that made me sick to my stomach. A message thread between Sarah and someone named Jake, dating back 4 months. "Can't wait to start our new life together," one message read. "Once I get rid of Elliot and transfer the money, we'll be set." Jake, her yoga instructor. The one she'd been taking evening classes with for the past 6 months. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't a sudden decision. This was a calculated plan to destroy my life. Monday morning, I sat in Nina's sleek conference room, still reeling from what I'd discovered. The PackSmart offices were incredible. Modern, bright, bustling with young, energetic employees. Nina had built something amazing. "How are you feeling?" she asked as she poured us both coffee from a machine that probably cost more than my car. Angry, I admitted. I found some things over the weekend. I showed her the emails and bank statements on my phone. Her face grew darker with each screenshot. Elliot, this is theft, pure and simple. She stole your retirement fund while you were dealing with losing your job. It was a joint account, I said weakly. Maybe legally she had a right. No. Nina's voice was firm. Retirement funds have different rules, and these secret transfers, she was clearly planning to defraud you. She called her legal team immediately. Within an hour, I was sitting across from two lawyers who specialized in divorce fraud. Mr. Davies, the lead attorney, said, "You have a very strong case. What your wife did constitutes financial abuse and theft. We can recover your money and more." For the first time in days, I felt a spark of hope. Maybe I wasn't as powerless as I thought. The lawyers worked fast. By Thursday, they'd gathered enough evidence to file a lawsuit against Sarah. The case was airtight: secret bank transfers, retirement fund theft, and clear evidence of premeditation through the emails with Jake. The yoga instructor angle makes this even worse for her, Nina's lawyer explained. It shows she was planning to defraud you while conducting an affair. Judges hate that. I felt strange about the whole thing. Part of me was furious and wanted justice. Another part just felt exhausted and heartbroken. 8 years of marriage reduced to legal documents and accusations. How much are we talking about? I asked. Your retirement fund alone was worth $380,000. The joint savings was another $120,000, plus interest, penalties for early withdrawal, and punitive damages. We're looking at close to $700,000. The number made my head spin. I'd never thought about money in those terms before. And if we win? When we win, the lawyer corrected, she'll have to pay it all back, plus our legal fees. This isn't a difficult case, Mr. Davies. We have emails where she admits to planning the theft. Nina smiled across the table. Justice is coming, Elliot. The papers were served to Sarah on a Friday afternoon. According to our private investigator, she was at Jake's apartment when the sheriff knocked on the door. I wish I could have seen her face. Her response came 2 hours later. My phone rang, and I recognized her number. "You bastard," she screamed before I could even say hello. "How dare you sue me? After everything I've done for you. Everything you've done for me." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Sarah, you stole my retirement fund and threw me out with nothing. That money was mine too. We were married. The retirement fund was in my name only. You forged documents to access it." She was quiet for a moment. Then her voice changed, became sweet and manipulative like it used to be when she wanted something. "Elliot, honey, let's not do this. We can work something out between us. You don't need lawyers making this ugly." "It's already ugly, Sarah. You made sure of that. Just drop the lawsuit and we can talk. I never meant to hurt you." I looked around Nina's office where I was building a new life and felt my resolve strengthen. "See you in court," I said, and hung up. Sarah's threats escalated quickly. She called me 15 times that weekend, leaving increasingly desperate voicemails. The sweet manipulation turned into raw anger. "You're going to regret this, Elliot. I'll destroy you in court. Everyone will know what a pathetic loser you are." Nina found me listening to the messages on Monday morning. "You need to report this to the police," she said immediately. "It's just angry talk." "No, it's harassment and intimidation. She's trying to scare you into dropping the case." But the messages weren't what bothered me most. It was how quickly Sarah had revealed her true nature. The woman I'd loved for 8 years was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. My lawyer was thrilled with the voicemails. "These actually help our case," he explained. "They show consciousness of guilt. Innocent people don't threaten witnesses." Still, something nagged at me. Despite everything Sarah had done, I found myself missing the good times we'd shared. The quiet Sunday mornings, the way she used to laugh at my terrible jokes, the dreams we'd made together. "You're having second thoughts," Nina observed during lunch. I nodded. "Maybe I should just let it go. Take the loss and move on." "Elliot, she destroyed your life on purpose. You can't let her get away with that." The harassment continued for 2 more weeks. Sarah showed up at my hotel twice, pounding on the door and demanding I talk to her. She called Nina's office pretending to be a client. She even contacted my brother, trying to get him to convince me to drop the lawsuit. But as the legal discovery process moved forward, more ugly truths emerged. Sarah hadn't just stolen my money. She'd been running up credit cards in my name for months. The debt she'd hidden from me totaled another $40,000. She was planning to bankrupt you completely, Nina said as we reviewed the financial documents. This wasn't just about leaving you. She wanted to destroy you. The revelation hit me hard. I'd been married to someone who hated me enough to systematically ruin my life. All those months when I thought we were just going through a rough patch, she was plotting my destruction. I don't understand why, I told Nina. What did I do to deserve this? Some people are just cruel, Elliot. You loved her, trusted her, and she used that against you. That night, I made a decision. I called my lawyer and told him to proceed with the full lawsuit. No more second-guessing, no more mercy. Sarah had made her choice when she decided to destroy me. It was time for consequences. As the court date approached, something unexpected happened. I started enjoying my work again. Nina had given me real responsibility at PackSmart, developing new efficiency protocols, managing client relationships, even leading strategic planning meetings. You're incredible at this, she told me after I'd successfully negotiated a major contract. I can't believe that other company let you go. The job gave me purpose again. I wasn't just marking time or collecting a paycheck. I was building something meaningful with someone who valued my contributions. Meanwhile, the lawsuit was progressing smoothly. Sarah's lawyer had tried every delay tactic possible, but the evidence was overwhelming. Even her own attorney seemed embarrassed by the case. She's going to settle, my lawyer predicted. Her position is indefensible. But I was surprised to find that revenge didn't taste as sweet as I'd expected. Yes, I wanted my money back. Yes, I wanted justice. But mostly I just wanted to move forward with my life. The angry, broken man who'd sat in that train station was disappearing. In his place was someone stronger, more confident, more aware of his own worth. You're different, Nina observed one day. Happier. She was right. Despite everything Sarah had done to me, I was becoming a better version of myself. 3 months into working at PackSmart, something wonderful happened. Nina introduced me to her friend Emma, a third-grade teacher who volunteered at the company's literacy program. She was kind, funny, and completely different from Sarah. Hi, Emma said with a warm smile when Nina brought her by my office. I've heard so much about you. We talked for an hour about books, travel, and her students. She had this way of lighting up when she spoke about teaching that reminded me what passion looked like. Would you like to get coffee sometime? I found myself asking as she prepared to leave. I'd love that, she said, and my heart did something it hadn't done in years. Our first date was at a small cafe near her school. She told me about her kids, the challenges of public education, her dreams of writing children's books someday. I found myself sharing stories about my work with Nina, my hopes for the future. You're going through a divorce? She asked gently when I mentioned it. It's complicated, I said. My ex-wife, she hurt me pretty badly. Emma reached across the table and touched my hand. I'm sorry. Some people don't know how to love properly. Her compassion was genuine, uncomplicated. Being with her felt like stepping into sunlight after months in darkness. The settlement offer came on a Thursday morning. Sarah agreed to pay back everything she'd stolen, plus $50,000 in damages, plus all legal fees. Total, $670,000. Take it, my lawyer advised. Going to trial could get you more, but it's not worth the emotional cost. I signed the settlement agreement that afternoon. Justice was served, but I felt hollow about it. The money couldn't undo the betrayal or erase the trauma of that night when she threw me out. Emma and I had been dating for 2 months by then. She knew about the lawsuit, but never pushed for details. She was patient, understanding that I needed time to heal. How do you feel? She asked when I told her about the settlement. Rich, I said with a laugh. And confused. I spent so long being angry that I don't know what to do now that it's over. Maybe now you can focus on what makes you happy instead of what made you sad. Her wisdom amazed me. At 28, she understood life better than I had at 42. What makes me happy? I repeated. Well, she said with a shy smile, I hope I'm on that list somewhere. She was. She absolutely was. A year and a half after that terrible night at the train station, my life had transformed completely. I was Nina's business partner now, with a 20% stake in PacSmart. The company had grown to $400 million in value, making my shares worth more than I'd ever dreamed possible. Emma and I had moved in together 6 months earlier. She was everything Sarah wasn't: honest, supportive, genuinely caring. She loved my terrible jokes and cheered for my successes without jealousy. We were planning a vacation to Italy when my phone rang one Tuesday evening. Unknown number. Hello? Elliot? It's me. It's Sarah. My blood went cold. How did you get this number? I need to see you. It's important. We have nothing to discuss. Please, her voice cracked. Just 5 minutes. I'll come to you. Emma looked up from her grating, concerned. I mouthed ex-wife and saw her face tighten with worry. No, I said firmly. Don't contact me again. Elliot, wait. I hung up and blocked the number immediately. But I had a sinking feeling this wasn't over. What did she want? Emma asked. I don't know, and I don't care, I lied. But deep down, I was worried. Sarah didn't give up. Over the next week, she called Nina's office, sent messages through my brother, even reached out to Emma's school. Each attempt was more desperate than the last. She wants to reconcile, my brother told me during a phone call. She's been crying, saying she made a huge mistake. She made her choice, I replied. I've moved on. But Sarah's persistence was starting to affect Emma. She tried to hide it, but I could see the stress in her eyes when another message came through. Maybe you should talk to her, Emma suggested gently, just to get closure. Absolutely not. She lost the right to my time when she stole my money and threw me out. I know, but maybe if you tell her face to face that it's over, she'll stop. I understood Emma's thinking, but she didn't know Sarah like I did. My ex-wife wasn't someone who accepted no easily. Talking to her would only encourage more contact. The situation came to a head when Sarah somehow got our home address. I came back from work one evening to find her car in our driveway. She's been here for an hour, Emma said nervously. I didn't let her in, but she won't leave. Through the window, I could see Sarah sitting on our front steps, looking disheveled and desperate. It was time to end this once and for all. I opened the front door with Emma standing behind me. Sarah jumped up from the steps, her eyes red-rimmed and hopeful. Elliot, thank God, I've been trying to reach you for weeks. You need to leave, I said firmly. You're trespassing. Just give me 5 minutes, please. I know I messed up, but you didn't mess up, Sarah. You deliberately destroyed my life. There's a difference. She glanced at Emma, and I saw a flash of the old jealousy in her eyes. Is this her? Your replacement? This is Emma, my girlfriend, and you're making her uncomfortable in her own home. Sarah's facade cracked. Her home? This should be our home, Elliot. We were married for 8 years. You divorced me, remember? You threw me out with a suitcase and stole my money. I was confused. Jake manipulated me, made me think you didn't love me anymore. But I know better now. The mention of Jake caught my attention. Where is your yoga instructor boyfriend? Sarah's face crumpled. He left me 6 months ago, took most of the settlement money, and moved to California with some 20-year-old. So that was it. She wasn't here because she missed me. She was here because her plan had backfired. I'm broke, Elliot continued, tears streaming down her face. Jake took everything. I lost the house, my car, everything. I've been living in a studio apartment, working 2 jobs just to survive. Part of me felt a flicker of sympathy, but I squashed it quickly. This was the consequence of her choices. I'm sorry your plan didn't work out, I said coldly. But that's not my problem anymore. We can start over. I'll sign a prenup, whatever you want. I just want my life back. Your life? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You mean my life, my money, my success. You don't want me, Sarah. You want what I can give you. Emma stepped forward, her teacher voice calm but firm. I think you should leave now. Sarah turned on her with vicious intensity. You don't understand what you're dealing with. He'll get bored of you too. He did with me. That's enough, I said, moving protectively in front of Emma. Get off my property now, or I'm calling the police. You can't just throw away 8 years of marriage for some little girl. You threw it away when you betrayed me. This conversation is over. I guided Emma inside and locked the door behind us, my hands shaking with anger. Sarah didn't leave quietly. She sat in her car for another hour, occasionally honking the horn or shouting through the window. When I threatened to call the police, she finally drove away, but she was back the next day. And the day after that. "This is stalking," Emma said after finding Sarah parked across the street from her school. "She's following us." I called my lawyer immediately. "We need a restraining order. She's harassing me and my girlfriend." "Based on what you've told me, we have more than enough evidence," he replied. "I'll file the paperwork today." The restraining order was granted within a week. Sarah had to stay at least 500 feet away from Emma, me, our home, and our workplaces. Violating it would result in immediate arrest. When the sheriff served her with the papers, she called me from a blocked number, screaming about how I was destroying her life. "You destroyed your own life," I told her. "I'm just protecting mine." "This isn't over, Elliot. You can't just erase me." "Watch me," I said and hung up. For the first time in months, Emma and I could breathe freely. The nightmare was finally ending. 6 months later, Emma and I were engaged. I proposed during our trip to Italy, on a terrace overlooking the Tuscan countryside. She cried, I cried, and for the first time since my divorce, I felt complete. Nina threw us an engagement party at her penthouse, inviting everyone from PackSmart. As I looked around the room full of friends and colleagues celebrating our happiness, I marveled at how much my life had changed. "Thank you," I told Nina as we stood on her balcony, watching the city lights twinkle below. "For what?" "For finding me at that train station. For believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." She smiled and raised her champagne glass. "To second chances." "To second chances," I agreed. PackSmart had just secured its largest contract ever, making the company worth over $1 billion. My 20% stake was more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes. But the real treasure was the relationships I'd built. With Nina, with Emma, with the life I'd created from the ashes of my old one. Emma joined us on the balcony, slipping her hand into mine. "What are you two plotting out here?" "World domination," Nina said with a grin. "Already achieved," I replied, squeezing Emma's hand. "I have everything I need right here." Our wedding was small and perfect. Emma's students made us paper flowers, Nina gave a toast about resilience and friendship, and my brother flew in to be my best man. Even he admitted that Emma was perfect for me. "You're different with her," he said during the reception. "Happier than I ever saw you with Sarah." He was right. Emma brought out the best in me, while Sarah had slowly drained away my confidence and joy. The contrast was striking. We honeymooned in Greece, spending 2 weeks island hopping and planning our future. Emma wanted to keep teaching for a few more years before starting her children's book career. I was already funding a literacy program through PackSmart that would give her the perfect platform. "I love how you think," she said when I told her about the program. "Always looking for ways to help people achieve their dreams." "Someone did that for me once," I replied, thinking of Nina. It changed everything. When we returned from our honeymoon, there was a letter waiting for us. Sarah had been arrested for violating the restraining order. She'd tried to contact Emma's principal about warning the school about my violent tendencies. "That's it," Emma said, reading the police report. "She's done." I hoped she was right. But I also knew that some people never give up trying to destroy what they can't have. 3 years into our marriage, Emma published her first children's book through PackSmart's new publishing division. The Little Train That Found Its Way became a bestseller, and she was invited to read at schools across the country. I traveled with her when I could, watching her light up rooms full of children with her storytelling. She was born to do this work, and I was proud to support her dreams. Nina had become family to us. She was the godmother to our 6-month-old daughter, Lucy, and spoiled her rotten with expensive toys and baby clothes. "She's going to be brilliant like her parents," Nina said, holding Lucy during Sunday dinner at our house. "She's going to be kind like her mother," I corrected. "That's more important than brilliant." Emma smiled at me across the table, and I felt that familiar warmth in my chest. This was what love was supposed to feel like. Safe, supportive, growth-oriented. I thought about Sarah sometimes, wondering where she was and whether she'd found peace. According to my lawyer, she'd moved to Florida after her arrest. I hoped she was building a better life for herself. The past was truly behind us now. We had created something beautiful from the wreckage of my first marriage. 10 years after that night at the train station, I stood in PacSmart's newest facility, watching Nina cut the ribbon on our Youth Entrepreneurship Center. We'd come so far from that scared, broken man with a suitcase and a young woman with big dreams. Emma squeezed my hand as Nina spoke about second chances and the power of believing in people. Our daughter Lucy, now 10, listened intently from the front row, already showing signs of her mother's compassion and her godmother, Nina's business instincts. "Dad," Lucy whispered, "will you help me start a company someday?" "Absolutely," I whispered back. "But first, focus on being a kid." After the ceremony, the three of us walked through the center's halls, past classrooms where teenagers were learning coding, marketing, and financial literacy. This was Nina's way of paying it forward. Just as she'd rescued me, we were now rescuing others. "Any regrets?" Emma asked as we watched a group of students present their business plans to volunteer mentors. I thought about the question seriously. The divorce had been devastating. The betrayal had nearly broken me. But without that pain, I never would have found this life. "None," I said honestly. "Every terrible thing led to something beautiful." Nina joined us, beaming with pride. "Ready for the next adventure?" I looked at my wife, my daughter, and the young woman who'd saved my life with a simple offer of help. We'd built an empire together, not just of money and success, but of love and loyalty and second chances. "Always," I said. "Let's see what tomorrow brings."